Let's have a look at how we can use the toolkit to actually make our games. So I've planned a game here. I've got an abstraction of my game called Oh Mummy. So I've made a game with an ancient Egyptian theme, and you can see in the middle here that there is a slave character, and the slave character is going to move up, down, left and right using the arrow keys. And what the slave character has got to do is got to go around the screen and collect all of the artifacts that need collecting. So there is jewellery that's going to be on the screen. So there's one example of a piece of jewellery, and there'll be other pieces. And you've also got 10 canopic jars to collect. And so when you go over the jewellery, or when you go over the canopic jars, they're going to disappear so that you've collected them. Now at the same time, we've got this Anubis character, the god of the dead, and he's going to chase after your character. He's going to follow your character around the screen. And there are going to be 4 Anubis NPCs, in other words 4 non-playable characters. So you don't control them, the game controls them, and then they're coming to get you wherever you go. They all start at different places, they all move at different speeds. And then I'm going to have a background picture of ancient Egypt. So that's what I want my game to look like, that's the plan. So let's have a look at the Game Maker's Toolkit and see how we can use the videos to help us. So to get to the Game Maker's Toolkit, I've gone to ticbradford.com, and I can just go to this curriculum menu that's in the middle of the screen, and I can click the drop down arrow and go to Game Maker's Toolkit. So once I'm here, I've got all the videos that I need on different pages here. So for my collecting game, the first thing that I'm going to do is go to this basics menu video here, and then when I go to this, what I'm going to do is look down, and my first video is called Adding Characters. So if you look, you've got these little blue dots that you can actually watch the whole video. So the whole video here is only 4 minutes. I can watch the whole video, or I can jump to the section that I want. So this tells me things like how to resize my sprite, how to rotate my sprite. But I need to go to this one that says upload sprite from website. So I need to go get a picture of Anubis, a picture of my slave, and so I'm going to watch that bit of the video to find out where to get my pictures from. Now I've got this section, this video which will tell me how to get backdrops, so I can go find out how to get the backdrop that I want. And then I also want some sound effects in my game, so if I collect something, then I need it to play a sound effect, and so I've got the sound effects here that I can go through. So I've got sound effects in the Scratch library, or record your own sound effects, and there's another one for downloading sound effects, so I can have a look at those to find out the information that I need. The next thing that I need to do is to make my main character move, so I'm going to go to the moving menu here, and you'll see that when the video loads, we've got a video called Moving Your Main Character, and I want my main character, if you remember, to move up, down, left and right. So I can watch all the video, or I can just jump to the up, down, left, right section, click on it, and then it will start to play the video from there and give me an example in a game of moving up, down, left and right. I also need to make my non-playable characters move. My Anubis character needs to come and get me, so I need to follow that. So this bit that says towards main character, that's the bit that I need in this particular video. Remember, in your videos it might be a different bit. And so that's the section where I can get them to move towards me. Now I also need to decide what happens when I bump into anything in the game. So I'm going to go to events in this menu here on the right, and I'm going to go to this video called collisions. And I want to know what happens. I've got some examples here. So what are collisions? And then collecting game, good collisions. So when I collect anything that I'm supposed to collect, I want to know what's going to happen there. So I can click on that. Now in my game, I'm not going to add any lives and scores and timers in this game. I'm going to keep it really simple. I just collect everything as I go around the screen. So I might also want to look at what happens if I bump into Anubis. So that's a bad collision. So I can click on that to find out there. So if I did want to add a lives or timers to the game, I can come to this menu there. So that gives me all the information that I can find for making that game. So the idea then is that you'll watch a bit of the video, pause it, go to your Scratch project, and then do a little bit, and then go back to the video, watch another little bit, and keep moving backwards and forwards between these. So if we look at something that's a little bit more complicated, this game here, so if I just play this for a second or two, so you've got this side-scrolling game here that's just a bit more complex than the collecting game that we had. So we have to move across, and then if I just crash there, you'll see that we've got a few things. So for example, we've got scores, we've got lives that are built into the game. So just like the first game, you're going to need to add a character, you're going to need to add non-playable characters, you're going to need to decide what they look like, you need to add a background, you'll need to record your sound effects. So in this one there are some things that are slightly different. So what I did was I went to, because it's a shooting game, I've gone to events, and then I've gone down to where it says shooting, and when I got to shooting I wanted to use the one that fires across the screen. So we've got firing up the screen, I want this one that says firing across the screen to make that work. Now when things bump into each other we call that a collision. So we've got this other video up here called collisions. So what I've had to do for that is go up there, and I might watch this. Quite often it's a good idea to watch all the video if you can, because you'll pick up lots of tips in the other parts. So I've got one called What Are Collisions at the start there, and then if I jump along and look at the right sections, then there is actually a section called collisions, shooting games in collision. So that's falling games, shooting game collision. So I can jump to that bit and watch that. The way that my character was moving was quite complicated, so that's in the moving up and down section. So if I went back to basics and then went to see how your character moves, so I've got, oh sorry, that's the wrong place, I need to go to the moving section, and then I go to the moving section, moving your main character up and down, so I can watch them from there. And then of course I've got lives and scores and timers in there as well. So if I go back to events in here, I've got live scores and timers here. So if I watch this video you'll see what is a variable. I've got part of it for scores, and then there's another bit for timers, and there's another bit for lives, telling a player their final score, and then lives. So I've got the information that I need there. Now quite often when you make a game like the one that I showed, you have to have more than one NPC on the screen. So there were lots of rocks coming across the screen. So if I go to extras, you'll see that there is a section here that says cloning and duplicating. So it'll tell you what, it gives you examples of cloning, so you can see what cloning is, and then you can look at what cloning looks like in lots of different kinds of games. So I can go find cloning sprites in a side scroller, which is what I was playing there, and you can see the bit that you need. So the idea here is that if you watch these videos you're not going to end up making the same game that I make, but you can take the bits from the videos that you need to make your own games.